Hi everyone. You have now reached the last submodule on citing, plagiarism, and ethics. And this is, the part where, everybody has the most trouble, I think. And so I just wanted to spend a little time on it. Be sure to look at and read all of the articles in this module to make sure you have a clear understanding of this. First, about citing. We use APA in this program, the American Psychological Association. Most journals in library science use APA, although a few use Chicago style, which is also related to history. So if you ever write something for publication, you will have to use whichever style that they use. So for citing, citing is a pain. We all hate it, but it's just a necessary part of school, right? And it's a necessary part of life. Whenever we borrow somebody's words, we should always cite them, things like that. So, what are some of the things to make your life easier? First of all, you should have the APA Style Manual, 6th edition. You should have that already. On the screen now is the electronic references PDF that you can buy from APA for about $12.99. I highly recommend that because the print book of the APA Style Manual did not cover all of the online sources because they weren't really out at the time. So this style guide covers that. A couple other points. Even I do not have this memorized. I have to look things up. So it's not it's not about memorization. It's about having a cheat sheet, knowing where to go, just to plug in the answers for citing. Think of it as a puzzle. You just need so many pieces, and you have to plug them into the right spots. Use the correct punctuation and capitalization and italicization, and then you've got it. And after you do it time and time and time again, then you'll get used to it. But it is very detailed. Yes, all of that does matter. Capitalization, italicization, and punctuation matter. You have to do it exact. So I just wanted to show you this guide that I bought and downloaded onto my computer. As you can see, it goes through all of this is all online resources. So if you are looking at an online periodical, it tells you, you find your circumstance. Do you have a DOI with it? Do you not? And then it gives you the exact format. All you have to do is plug in the information into the exact format. That's it. It's just a puzzle. It's not complicated, it is detail oriented and tedious, so just keep that in mind. This goes through all sorts of online sources. The other kind that you'll probably use the most would be websites. It covers podcasts, it covers media, it covers all sorts of things. But websites. The basic general reference format for a website right here. Author, year, title, document, format. Is it a blog? Is it a listserv? Is it an email, a Twitter, whatever? Retrieve from. I put the date and then the URL. Basic format. You created a cheat sheet for yourself, and just when you have either a book or a journal article or a website, I mean, those three things will cover 90% of what you are going to cite, right? So make yourself a little cheat sheet and make sure you just fill in the blanks for all of these. I get a lot of students in their 3rd and 4th semesters like, haven't learned this yet. I haven't learned this yet. But I'm saying just do it. Just fill in the blank and put it together like a puzzle piece. So that is the electronic resources. Get out of there. Okay. Another source that you are probably familiar with already, and if not, I recommend it. besides the APA style manual, is the online writing lab at Purdue University. Has been used for years because they have written some great instructions on how to use APA, from formatting the title page. For my courses, when you're submitting your paper, I want a title page with it. That is correct APA format. This shows you how to do that. On the left here, it shows you how to use in-text citations. Every time that you use a source, it needs to be cited in the paper and at the end in the reference list. So whether you are using an idea from an article or a quote from an article, it doesn't matter. You are going to have an in-text citation and a reference at the bottom, which also means that if I get a paper with 5 references at the bottom, I need to see 5 in-text citations in the paper where you're referring to that paper. They need to be the same, 5 and 5, or whatever number you have. In-text citations, again, I do not have this memorized. I have to look every single time. There's different ways to phrase it. There's different rules, whether you're using a quote or you're just using a general idea, and you can read about that here, as well as in some of the other links I have. The reference list, the basic rules, it needs to go in alphabetical order by author. It needs to be double spaced. It needs to have a hanging indentation, which you can use by doing Control-T. And then it lists what kind of sources you've got. Again, basic form of a periodical. You just have to go through here, figure out what you've got, and then plug in the pieces. Books, same thing. Electronic sources, same thing. They even have examples of papers, how to format tables in APA, abbreviations, statistics, everything on APA. So at the OWL at Purdue, so I recommend that. If nothing else and you are stuck and you need to do a citation, there are a ton of tools out there that will do that. I recommend Noodle Tools. Because it was founded by a librarian and her computer science nerd son. They formed together to make this site, and it's been going for at least 10-15 years now. Some school systems use this. You can subscribe to it to use in a lot of different ways, but the basic Noodle Tools Express is just free. So if you just need to make 1 or 2 citations, you can click on APA and you can tell it what you have. You have a book, create citation, and then you just fill in the blank, and then it will spit out the answer. It does have a lot of intuitive questions to ask you about this. And so this is, I think, the best of the free citation maker sites out there is Noodle Tools. But again, you shouldn't need this. You should be able to use your manuals or the OWL and go from there. So let's talk a little about plagiarism. Plagiarism can take the form of many different things. Obviously, if you made something up that wasn't true, if you copied and pasted and used somebody's work and didn't cite it, and it appeared as your own words, things like that are plagiarism. I have links to MTSU's plagiarism policy. One thing you want to consider here is, and a lot of students are worried that they're accidentally going to plagiarize. Now, in most instances where you forget a reference or something like that, it's obvious that you forgot something, so I'm not going to turn you into the dean or anything like that. Here are some things to look out for. One, like I said before, if you have, you're using 5 sources in your paper, then you need 5 in-text citations and 5 references. Your paper should not be comprised of large chunks copied and pasted from a source and then 1 or 2 sentences of your own words. This research paper should be a discussion between your sources and yourself. So it should be a lot of your words and then some of their words and then a lot of your words and some of their words. If you have just chunked together and copied and pasted most of the paper from somewhere else and not used your own words, then you haven't done the work. And it's easy to spot as well. So keep that in mind. Keep in mind that you cannot reuse a paper that you used for another class because you're not actually doing the work again. So that is, if you ever need to use part of research that you've used before, you need to tell your professor ahead of time and ask them how and if you can use that research and add to it, build upon it. That certainly is allowed, but the professor needs to know ahead of time. What else? Just make sure that you don't be afraid of this. Learn how to cite your sources. Learn how to do in-text citations. Be honest and don't copy and paste without giving credit. When we use Turnitin in D2L, so I can see where your sources are coming from. I can see if you copied and pasted from somewhere else and not giving credit. Let's see. Make sure you know how to use in-text citations. I said that before. Look at all of the links in this module. This is probably the most important module, although they're all important. Just make sure that you understand this and keep it to review again. And that concludes this portion of this. If you have any questions again about any of this, please let me know. Also, know that the librarians at the library are here to help you. That's what they do. We also have a writing center on campus if you need help writing papers or you need somebody to proofread your paper. A lot of times students are in such a hurry that they're not proofread, or sometimes students just need better writing habits, and I suggest for you to go to the writing center. They help students online, so when I mean go to, I mean email them and they will help you online. You can do it by email or chat and they will help you. So there are a lot of resources to help. There's no reason to ever be scared about this or unsure about it. Just ask. Okay?